Bing bong, and welcome back to another weekly update where I update you weekly on things that are happening to me book-wise and otherwise weekly. So without further ado, let's get updated on the weekly. Some housekeeping things. Number one, thanks so much. If you watch these, I would love your feedback. I'm very interested in your feedback, and I just like to know that you're here. So please feel free to leave a comment. Ask me book questions. Ask me questions about camping places I like to go to. Ask me questions about what my favorite sock is to wear. I really don't care. Just want to talk to you. Have always wanted to do the conversational YouTube thing, and I'm trying yet again. Number two, different mic this time because I left my DJI mic in our camper with my camera supplies. And also I wanted to, test whether it looks better with the lights on in the room. The video last week was pretty dark. I'm using the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro, which I replaced 2 GoPros I had with this one camera because I just decided I'm fed up. I'm fed up with GoPro, and I've moved on to DJI. But the last week's video was pretty dark, even though I have some pretty advanced settings I can do on this compared to the GoPro. But hopefully this looks better. If not, sharpen your pitchforks and brandish your knives and, whatever. But anyway, hopefully the video looks good enough for you to listen and enjoy and watch and enjoy. But anyway, thanks for being here. And without further ado, again, let's get into some book talk. So last week I told you, listen, Agustina Bazterrica had better have a good reason for putting the women in her book through the horrible situation that they are in and for the crazy world that they're in. She doesn't. She doesn't have a good reason for that. But that's not the point of the book, so we're going to give her a pass. I did finish this book, and I will say that this book for me was head and shoulders above Tender is the Flesh, which is the other book that I've read by her. See the last video, see my review of Tender is the Flesh to get a full picture of how I feel about the book. But suffice it to say, don't care for it, don't like it, I think it's bad. I think it's poorly thought out, and I think it's a waste of a good premise. This book, on the other hand, I think turned out to be more effective at what she was trying to do. This book actually has some pretty good themes. This book, by the end of it, explores some pretty heavy ideas and some pretty weighty truths. Chief of which, in my opinion, is man's tendency and typically the male man, not only human man, but men, the male tendency to, whenever there is a power vacuum, whenever there is a disaster, there are men who will jump at the chance to add suffering to that for their own personal gain. I won't spoil the book for this, book, but it's clear from the beginning that the only dude in this book is absolutely seedy. And that's pretty much confirmed by the end. But I won't spoil the whole thing. But themes like that, themes of, how far will love go to, or how far can love go to rescue someone from a horrible situation? Is it okay? Not is it okay, but I'm trying to think of how to put this one. How to put what I'm, or trying to dig up one that I thought of while I was reading it. It'll come to me. It'll come to me as I'm talking about it. But again, themes. There were good themes in this book. This book asked questions and answered them, and did a good job doing that. That was how far can the human mind be pushed? How far can the mind and the body be pushed before eventually it succumbs to whatever will the torturer has over it? How much pain can you bear before you become a sheep to the shepherd that is torturing you, kind of thing. But anyway, The Unworthy, a better book than Tender is the Flesh, but still, Miss Bazterrica, in my opinion, has a real problem with giving you an absurd, outlandish setting and then doing nothing to explain that setting, which many settings don't require an explanation. Welcome to, for example, Blake Crouch, Whispering Pines, or Wayward Pines, wherever the state was. Like, you don't have to explain why that town came to be. Eventually he does, but it's just like a town in the mountains. This is like a bloody, torturous death cult in the wake of an catastrophe, an eco apocalypse. There's just no explanation as to why the ideology that's created this place, why women like go along with it. These women eat meals made out of like cricket meal. Like, is it that bad out in the world? Like, there's some descriptions of what the world was like outside compared to being inside this convent. And honestly, give me the outside. I'll take it, because this place sucks. Anyway, I just think that's her big problem. Both of her books have had the problem where I just didn't buy it. I just didn't buy the setting, and that really makes it hard to read the book. But anyway, I think this book is a worth reading. I think it's worthy of reading, and if you like the kind of torture, gore, with some solid themes, you'll probably like this book, and maybe you just won't be as neurotic about setting as I am. Nexty poo, I am almost done with Peter Straub's Lost Boy, Lost Girl. This book, very good. I also have some issues with the writing style. I'll go ahead and get this out of the way first. Sometimes we're in the first person and sometimes we're not. It seems like we almost accidentally were outside of the first person in the beginning of the book. I guess the book is split into 5 parts, and maybe all of them are allowed to have, are grammatically allowed to have a different, point of view. Maybe that's what I'm missing. But there's a couple jarring moments where I begin reading and I'm like, wait a second, I thought we were in third person, and then the character is saying I a lot, or the narrator is saying I a lot, and that's a little bit confusing. But otherwise, the concept of this book is quite enjoyable. I did not do any research for this one. I just picked it up because I liked the cover and I wanted to read an author that wasn't Stephen King or someone else I'd already read for spooky season. And I'd heard this name. This looked like a spooky little cover, and so I began to read it. At this point, I'm about 3/4 of the way through. At this point, there is still, I don't know if something supernatural is going on. I like the characters, the character Mark, who's a 15-year-old kid. I don't know if there's something supernatural going on. Mark and his friend Jimbo are 2 teenage boys. They live in a town where there are some serial murders going on. Mark's mother has just committed suicide, and everyone is remembering that she was the first cousin of a very famous serial killer that lived in the town. Turns out he lived in the in the house directly behind Mark's house, and the house that he lives in is just a spooky spook fest. And so Mark is drawn in by this house before his mom has passed away, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. His uncle is a novelist. Why do writers always write characters that are also novelists? Maybe it's just because that's an easy point of view to do. I don't know. I usually find it interesting. But there's a lot of interweaving. There's a lot of mystery. There's a current serial killer who's killing boys. And it's very interesting. And it's surprising me that as I'm saying it all, it's all wrapped up in as short a book as this is. Eerie, unnerving, and concise. From the Miami Herald. They mentioned how concise it was. But so far, good. I think it's well written, if not just a little bit confusing with the whole point of view thing every now and again. But really enjoying this book so far. Excited to see where it goes. I really hope it can stick the landing. If you know me, you know that an ending for me makes the book. And if the ending sucks, it kind of takes the good taste out of my mouth. But yeah, excited to finish this bad boy. Let me know what you think of it if you've read it. And finally, for the last few minutes of this video, I'm going to tell you about The Exorcist, because I am currently being blown away. Absolutely, just my notions, my preconceived notions, my auditory taste buds, everything are just being completely aerated and destroyed by the performance I am receiving for, I forget, Blatty, last name, The Exorcist. I made several comments, I think, recently in videos where I said, "Oh, The Exorcist, I think is too scary. I'm scared of demon stuff. That's my easy button for being spookied, and I'm a little bit too afraid to read it." Well, someone said, "Well, The Exorcist is the best audiobook I've ever listened to," and I took that person's words as gospel, and I downloaded that bad boy on Audible, and let me tell you, they were not wrong. Every syllable of the Exorcist audiobook, I can't even tell you who narrates it, but every syllable of that book so far has been an absolute feast for my ear holes, an absolute just king's ransom of gold doubloons in my eardrums. It's so good. He speaks in such a way where every character, he does not phone it in on a single character. Every person, whether it's Chris McNeil, whether it's Reagan or the demon possessing her, or possible demon, or Father Karras, or the Burke Dennings, the guy who's murdered, the director who's murdered in the beginning of the story. So good. It is unbelievable, just the talent that radiates out of this dude's voice. So that suffice it to say, I say that a lot. I like that phrase, but it's changing my life, this audiobook. Not to mention the fact that I'm surprised that The Exorcist, even as I listened to it, I think even if I were reading this with my eyes, I would be absolutely enwrapped, thralled, just taken in by this book. It is so interesting. It is so compelling. It is so scary, and it is so emotional, so affecting. And now I'm getting close to the end, and I'm realizing that it's not just like a scare fest for me. Like, it's giving me actual things to think about, especially coming from a Christian perspective, as I do. I'm not Catholic, but coming from a Christian worldview, a Protestant Christian worldview, just things to think about. Things, is my faith, like, when it comes to my faith, is it strong? Could I stand against a demon? Sorry, I had a text message that I was afraid my wife was telling me to shut up. Lily's not sleeping, but not that it's my faith that would cast out a demon, but like, could I confidently stand knowing that I served the one true God in the face of someone possessed with a demon? Would I, despite being a religious and spiritual person, would I be able to believe someone who came to me and said, my family member is possessed, will you help me? The way most of this book is just trying to figure out what is wrong with this girl, and no one will bite on the demon thing. It's all psychological stuff. And it also kind of points the finger at how little we know about the human mind and how little we know about the human psyche. Now, this was written, years ago, so we've made some advancements, but still, it makes kind of a comedy of how little we know of what is going on in this electric meatball, and I'm eating it up. This is going to be one of those books where when people ask, what book do you wish you could read again for the first time? The Exorcist is going to be on my list, and I never, ever thought that I would say that. So that's going to be my big gush for this video, is that The Exorcist is absolute primo book, and the audio book is just triple platinum primo. Highly recommend so far. I don't even care about the ending of this one. This book is amazing, and I am really excited to finish it, excited to do a little review on it, and thank you so much for watching these videos. I hope you're pleased. I hope you feel like you're getting your 15 minutes worth. Very few other updates. I've been sick, so you can probably hear that in my voice. I'm getting better. I'm hoping tomorrow I'll be fully rested. I do have a couple of camping videos I'm working on. Just recently came back from Edisto Beach. Like I mentioned in the last video, we were going. I have one brief overnight video I'm editing for one that Lizzie and Lily and I went over to my mom's pond. So there's all kind of that stuff going on, but mainly it's books. Please let me know if there's things that you expect out of these videos that you would like to receive. Please let me know if there are any, ask questions that I can hopefully field or anything like that. I would love to make a dialogue out of at least a portion of these videos again. But thank you so much for watching. Whether you click on it and watch the whole thing, whether you, click on it and say this sucks and you wipe your butt with it. Just thanks. And I'll catch you next week. Thanks for watching.